Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back, or welcome into my world. My name's Angela. I'm a relationship mentor for women. What I do is I help guide mystical women out of self-abandonment and into the love they were always meant to receive. And my favorite subject is the art of intentional reality creation. And we do this through identity, awareness, and embodiment. And so in this space that I'm creating here and in my world, we don't manifest by force or by trying to get something from outside of ourselves, right? We become the vessel that can hold the things that we desire, the life that we desire, the experiences we desire. We awaken, we expand our consciousness, we remember, and then we consistently realign with our soul and the Creator. And so today's little video here is something that really cuts straight to the core of how this actually works. And it's the idea, and it's not an idea. When you practice it, it becomes apparent that it was truth all along. And it's that perception is not passive, but it's creative. And what you perceive becomes what you experience. And that's not, like I said, because it's objectively true, but it's because you're the one that's generating the field, and that is what becomes your experience. And so I've been practicing this in my own life. We truly live in an inverted reality where literally nothing works as we were originally taught to think that it works. And everything is sort of inverted in the sense that there is no separation. And I know that this sounds radical at first, but once you start to wrap your conceptual mind around it, once you start to program it into your subconscious, and once you start to consciously and intentionally live like this, you see evidence of it everywhere. And the truth of the matter is that we are not just observing our reality. We're actually participating in its creation through the lens of our perception. And so in the way that we look at the world, the way through which we look at the world is actually what creates our experience. And so looking at it this way, your perception is not a window where you're seeing what's going on outside of you. It's actually a projector. You're looking, instead of out at life, you're looking at your own consciousness being reflected back to you in real time. There's a little bit of a lag when you change your perception. It takes a minute for reality to catch up. So you're kind of looking at a reflection of your past consciousness and your past perception. And because everything is happening in the now, in real time. And so it may take a moment for it to appear to catch up. It's actually all happening right now. There is only right now. And your subconscious identity, your emotions, and your beliefs literally bend time, space, and matter to match the frequency that you're holding in any given moment. And this isn't a metaphor. It's mechanics. It's metaphysics, which is the same thing as magic. And so we really have to start to shift this idea of trying to get something from the universe to becoming the self that naturally lives on that timeline where that possibility exists, where that experience that you want to experience is in the field of possibility. It's something that's there and present for you. And so let's talk about some real life examples today, because it's easy to talk about metaphysical concepts in this way without actually anchoring it into the real, right? So let's anchor it into the real today. So let's say you keep attracting emotionally unavailable partners. That's not because you are cursed or because you are unworthy. It's because somewhere in your field, your perception is shaped by the belief that you think love requires effort, or that it's something that you have to earn. And until you see that and you shift that, you'll keep projecting that and you'll keep experiencing it that way. So in every single moment, you are creating from identity, in the sense that you never stop manifesting. And so instead of learning how to manifest, we want to learn how to shape our perception and our identity and our level of consciousness to create intentionally the things that we want to manifest, rather than it just creating for us on autopilot. And so if another grounded real world example is, if you perceive the world as a dangerous place, unsafe, or love is scarce, if you believe these things, or that you have to work really hard to make money, it's not because the world is inherently that way. That reality exists because all realities exist. The reason why you're experiencing it is because on some layer of your identity, you still believe that you're not safe, that you're not chosen, that you're not enough, that you have to prove or work hard or earn your place here. And so in that sense, your perception is a mirror, and it's a very real mirror. We actually live in a multidimensional reality that is a mirror for us to do personal development and soul growth. And so when we shift the identity that we are perceiving from, our reality must change. It is law. So I'll walk you through a quick example, another way for you to wrap this around your conscious mind. If you walk into a room of people and you believe that you're awkward, you will unconsciously scan that room for signs that confirm it, right? A glance, a pause in conversation, an internal comparison to someone else. But if you walk into a room in the I am presence, knowing that you are source, you are chosen, you are whole, you were chosen by the Creator, or you would not be here in your own love and in your own power, and you approach walking into the room from this place, love embodied. That same room will reflect to you something entirely different. You will see the evidence in that room of your confidence. You will feel the magnetic attraction that you naturally have. Heads will turn, maybe smiles or smirks, those indications of what the way you perceive your world, yourself, and the way the world works. And so it's really, you are not your thoughts. You are not your trauma. You are not your conditioning. We're not learning something new here. We're unraveling the conditioning that we were taught, the way we were taught to perceive this world. Because the truth is, you are the awareness that sees it all. The awareness that looked out of your eyes the moment you were born. The awareness that looked in the mirror at 8 years old. The awareness that looked in the mirror this morning. Has never changed. And nothing that has happened to you and nothing that you've experienced or witnessed has ever changed that, can ever change that, right? Your thoughts, the things that happen to you, your experiences are like the weather in the sky. But your soul, your I am presence, your awareness is the sun. And although we may not be able to see the sun due to crazy weather in our sky, the sun is never affected by that weather. It's still out there shining, burning bright. And that is the truth in a metaphor form for what your soul is like. And when you start to understand this, understand it, and live from this place of presence, you really begin to shift from reactivity to authorship. You choose to stop projecting pain onto the world. You can choose to dissolve the old dream, the old stories, the old beliefs. And you can choose to see through the eyes of love from I am, from seeing that there is nothing separate. And so this is the understanding that nothing is outside of you, that you are actually the only one here. And That means that anything you do to someone else or any other person, the people that we judge, the people that are, doing awful things in the world, the people that hurt our feelings, our ex-partners, the narcissist who abused us, all of these people are actually the creator, just like you. They're you. Another form and another form. We're all fractals of the creator, right? And so I invite you in a way of unraveling these harms that we feel have been done to us. And through the perception of the way we've always lived, yes, that's valid. But if you start to frame it in this way, write down the traumas that bother you, the things you still blame others for or other circumstances for, the things that you really are having a hard time getting past, write it down and attribute it to the creator, right? If you start to write it this way, you will see very quickly how silly it is. I want the creator to suffer for everything the creator has done to me. I hope the creator gets all the karma that they deserve. I hope that the people who supported those who abuse us get abused in the same way. So I hope the creator gets abused the way I perceive I'm being abused by those in power. It's just it's a powerful way to frame it. When you start speaking of anyone outside of yourself, you label it the creator. And when you do it in that way, you start to see how silly it sounds. And I know that at first this must feel jarring, but it's also the most freeing truth that there is. Because if you're the one perceiving it all, then you're the one who can change it all. And so here in my world, this isn't about trying harder. It's about becoming softer, right? Being more open to the truth that's actually already there and has always been there. And so it's not a practice, it's a way of being. And so I'm going to give you a few steps today that you can use to begin shifting your perception. The first step is to catch the identity that you're seeing from. And so when you feel triggered or stuck, pause and ask, who is seeing this right now? The child, the pleaser, the protector, the perfectionist? What is underneath of this? Who do I think I am? Who am I assuming I am in this moment? Well, even noticing that sort of grips, lets go of that grip, right? Of things being a certain way and that's the only way they can be. Like, this is definitely something that hurts my feelings, to, well, who am I being right now? Oh, I'm being the person who's been abandoned. And that's why I feel this way, right? And then the step 2 is to choose the I am. And so you say quietly to yourself, I am not this fear of being abandoned, just per our example. I am the presence that witnesses that I have been abandoned in the past and that I'm just afraid I'm going to be abandoned now. And this is not bypassing. This is anchoring into the understanding that you are the witness that perceives all of this. You're not actually the character who has been abandoned and who is afraid of being abandoned. You are the awareness that experiences it all without judgment. And when you can come back to this place and really start to see the programming, then you start to separate yourself and you can start to see that this observer awareness that you actually are, this presence, this awareness that you are, it is eternal and it is never touched by the traumas and the experiences and the pain and the whatever we may witness here that may not be good. When we start to unravel that, we start to make room for the light of the Creator to come and fill our vessel. But right now we're in a place where we are so identified with all of these negative experiences, this separation consciousness, that we can't be a match for the type of experiences that we want to have. And so it's about filling ourselves up with the light of the Creator. Step 3, see yourself as source. See yourself as a fractal of the creator that has full control over this experience, right? So how would source see this moment? Well, source would see both of these people in this interaction as love. That they're just playing parts, right? But you can see that it's from a place of fear and programming and manipulation to get needs met, and whatever it is we think we have to perform in order to get what we want or what we need. You can see it clearly from this vantage point. And all there is love and compassion. Because you are love and compassion. You are source. Reality is love and compassion. You are the channel of the creator. And the creator is dreaming this moment into being through you. And so when things happen, when bills show up that you didn't expect, typically from fear, we'll say, I can't afford this. This will never work out. How am I going to pay this? I can't see, money's not coming in before I have to pay this bill. What am I going to do? And we unravel and we spin, right? But instead of that, what if we chose to say, I am fully supported. Abundance is already in motion. It flows through me. I don't have to run out there and create it. It will come through me. It will happen on its own. I choose to, instead of reacting, respond from a place of, I am source and I have chosen that this will be taken care of. And I will get out of the way because I have decided. And when I decide, it is final. I'm deciding as source. And I don't have to manage it anymore. Do you see that shift there? This is what happens when we clear the lens, when we stop trying to prove, when we stop trying to get something from outside of ourselves, when we stop trying to change, waiting for the outside world to change before we change, right? When we stop looking at the circumstances and saying, oh, well, when this gets better, then I'll feel better. No, it's the other way around. It's I feel whole and complete and loving and abundant now. And then I experience that. And when we can approach our daily life from this place in certainty that this is how it works. If you knew for a fact that this was how reality worked, you wouldn't miss a day of being aware of where your mind goes and the spiraling and the program of separation that you were programmed into and that you were conditioned into from birth. You begin to unravel that. And once you start to see evidence of this working and that you didn't have to worry and spin and work hard and go crazy to allow it to come through you, and you start to see the evidence of that's actually how it works, the matrix starts to unravel, and you will never not show up as presence. You'll never not have that desire, that inclination to always consistently move back to a place of presence. You stop waiting for life to change before you do, and you become the thing that you want in your life, and it is immediately reflected back to you. And the more confident and the more convicted that you are in creator, in yourself, in your higher self, in the way that reality works and that it works through you, you begin to live as the presence of love because you have compassion for everyone and everything, no matter how one might judge it, right? Even the people who are creating harm on the planet, you start to see that, of course, if you had a choice, if you could stop them, you would, if you could teach them, you would. But you start to see that even that has its purpose, and even they are misinformed and so far from source that they are actually suffering. And you start to have compassion for it. You start to have compassion for those people in your life. Maybe you don't keep them in your life, but you can let it go, understanding that they are just so confused and they don't know who they are, and that they're living in a state of suffering and delusion, And that's why they hurt others. And so this is how you start to embody the frequency of power. Power of the Creator that flows through you. And so you don't call in a new timeline. You don't call in a new experience, a new reality. You don't call in money. You don't call in your soulmate. You meet it because it comes through you. Because the truth of the matter is that everything you've ever wanted and desired is already within you. We just have to shift our perception so that we move our ego mind, our separation identity, our persona, this human being with all these experiences that it thinks is them. You think it's you, it's not. And when you get that out of the way, you don't have to fake it. You don't have to affirm it. You just remember it. And your perception becomes clear. Your frequency becomes aligned. You allow the light of the Creator, more of the light of the Creator, to come fill your vessel. And your behavior and your presence become magnetic. And this is how you return to who you always have been. And so if something inside you just sort of exhaled as if this activated a remembrance for you, you can follow along on the 90-day Mastery of Self workbook that I created. Each part of it has a video connected directly to it, just like this one. They're all a little bit different. It's a path back to your truth. It's something that I designed to help activate remembrance. And I have a Facebook community as well. It's called Into the Mystic, and you can come share inside the community. You can ask questions. You can share your insights. You can connect with others on this path. And I'd love to hear from you, whether in the comments or whether you come in the community and you share. I would love to know, what identity are you perceiving from today? What identity were you perceiving from before you watched this video? And what identity are you going to choose to perceive from now? What dream are you now choosing to dream? Because you are the dreamer. And instead of saying that you're on a path, it's more accurate to say that you are the path. And you're not meant to walk it alone. You've created me and others like me to remind you of who you are. And I created others to remind me of who I am. And so we really can just stop thinking that we're broken, stop thinking we need to be fixed, stop thinking that we're behind or that we're separate from what we want and what we need and what we desire in this life. You are love awakening. You are source remembering. You are the dreamer of the dream. And when you see with clear perception, the world rearranges itself to meet you there. And it's a beautiful experience. When you start to see this evidence of this working out in your life, you will never, ever go back to thinking that you are the victim or that life happens to you ever again. And then, my love, you get to be free. So until next time, keep an eye on your perception. See clearly. Live gently. And walk as the identity of the version of you you've always wanted to be. There is nothing between the old you and the new you besides a decision to be that. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you all very soon.